Imagine a scam so massive, it rocked an entire nation, causing a loss of 20,000 crores Indian rupees. At the heart of this scandal was Abdul Karim Telgi, a man whose cunning and audacity knew no bounds. This was not a petty crime, but a meticulously orchestrated operation that sent shockwaves through India's economy. The breadth and depth of this scam was so expansive, it left the nation reeling. This is the story of the Abdul Karim Telgi scam, a scandal that shook the pillars of India's legal and financial systems. Abdul Karim Telgi, a name that would go down in history as one of India's most notorious fraudsters. Born into a humble family in Karnataka, Telgi's early life was a struggle, marked by poverty and hardship. Despite these circumstances, he was driven, always seeking opportunities to better his life and those around him. His ambition led him to Mumbai, the city of dreams, where he started off as a small-time travel agent. But it was his crafty mind and audacious spirit that saw him rise from obscurity to the zenith of a criminal empire. Yet, this was no rags-to-riches story. Telgi's ascent was marred by deceit and corruption, the scale of which would shock the nation. His life was a paradox. A man of simple origins who masterminded a scam of unprecedented proportions. A man who manipulated the system, defrauding the government of millions. His rise to infamy was as astonishing as it was shocking. The scam was simple yet ingenious, involving one of the most mundane items you could think of: stamp papers. Yes, you heard it right, stamp papers. The very same you'd use for mundane tasks like renting an apartment or buying a vehicle. But here's the catch: these weren't just any stamp papers. They were counterfeit, masterminded by none other than Abdul Karim Telgi. So how did Telgi pull off such an audacious scam? His modus operandi was as simple as it was daring. He acquired a stamp paper making machine under the guise of a legitimate business. But instead of using this machinery for lawful purposes, Telgi had other plans. He began producing counterfeit stamp papers, indistinguishable from the real thing. But Telgi didn't stop there. He understood that to make this scam truly profitable, he needed to distribute these counterfeit stamp papers on a massive scale. So he created an extensive network of agents who were more than willing to partake in his illegal activities. These agents would then sell these fake stamp papers to unsuspecting customers across the country. The real genius behind this scam, however, was in its simplicity. Stamp papers are used daily by millions of people, and the thought of them being counterfeit was inconceivable to most. This, combined with the fact that Telgi's fake stamp papers were virtually indistinguishable from the real ones, meant that his scam went undetected for years. Moreover, Telgi didn't just counterfeit ordinary stamp papers. He had the audacity to forge judicial stamp papers too. These are high-value stamp papers used in legal transactions, which meant that the profit margins for Telgi were enormous. And enormous they were. Telgi's scam lasted for over a decade, during which he managed to amass a fortune. It's estimated that the scam caused the government a loss running into thousands of crores. With this method, Telgi managed to flood the market with counterfeit stamp papers, leading to a loss of thousands of crores. Like all great schemes, Telgi's empire of deceit began to crumble. The beginning of the end arrived when a vigilant officer in the Bangalore police force raised an eyebrow at a series of strange stamp paper transactions. The officer, unable to shake off his suspicion, decided to dig a little deeper. This marked the start of an investigation that would expose one of the most audacious scams in Indian history. As the investigation progressed, the sheer scale of Telgi's operation started to unfold. The police discovered a labyrinth of fraudulent activity stretching across 17 states, with Telgi's counterfeit stamp paper infiltrating every nook and cranny of the country's bureaucratic system. Each day, the probe revealed more and more layers of corruption, painting a picture of an operation so intricate it seemed almost unbelievable. The police found that Telgi had not worked alone. His network was vast and complex, involving an array of accomplices, from low-level employees to high-ranking officials. This intricate web of deceit extended its tendrils deep into the heart of the system, corrupting everything it touched. The arrest of Telgi in November 2001 marked a significant turning point in the case. His capture led to a series of confessions and revelations that further exposed the extent of the scam. Telgi, under intense interrogation, began to name his accomplices. leading the police on a trail that implicated even some of the highest-ranking officials in the country. The discovery of the scam was a bitter pill for the nation to swallow. The public was left reeling as the details of the scandal emerged, each revelation more shocking than the last. The scam had exploited the very system that was supposed to protect the people, undermining public trust in the government and its institutions. The magnitude of the scam was such that it sent shockwaves throughout the nation. It was a wake-up call for India, a stark reminder of the depth of corruption that could lurk within even the most trusted systems. The unraveling of Telgi's empire of deceit marked a dark chapter in the country's history, one that would leave a lasting impact on its people and its institutions. The fallout from the Telgi scam was vast and far-reaching. This scandal, orchestrated by one man, Abdul Karim Telgi, had a ripple effect that shook the very core of India's economy. As the dust settled, the enormity of the scam was laid bare. It was estimated that the total loss to the country's exchequer was in the region of several billion rupees. This enormous financial blow left the government reeling, forcing it to reassess its security measures and regulatory controls. The Indian economy took a significant hit, with the repercussions felt not just in the financial sector, but across all industries. The legal implications for Telgi and his accomplices were severe. Telgi was charged with cheating, forgery, and conspiracy among other offences. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison and fined a whopping 70 billion rupees. His accomplices too faced justice, with many of them receiving lengthy prison sentences. It was a clear message from the judiciary: crime does not pay. In the aftermath of the scandal, the government and regulatory bodies took swift action to prevent such scams in the future. New, stringent measures were put in place to ensure the authenticity of stamp papers. The security features of these documents were enhanced, and their production and distribution were more closely monitored. The government also launched a massive drive to digitize records and move towards e-stamping, reducing the chances of forgery and fraud. Yet perhaps the biggest change came in the form of heightened public awareness. The Telgi scam had laid bare the vulnerabilities in the system, and it spurred the public to stay vigilant, to question, and to hold those in power accountable. In the end, the Telgi scam served as a harsh reminder of the damage that can be inflicted by a single individual's greed. But it also served as a catalyst for change, prompting a nationwide effort to fortify the system against such threats and to ensure that the trust of the public in the nation's institutions is never again compromised. Despite the passage of time, the Telgi scam remains etched in the collective memory of India. It was a crime of such magnitude that it fundamentally altered the landscape of the country's financial and legal systems. The Telgi scam, like a quake, sent shockwaves through the subcontinent, leaving behind a trail of devastation and a legacy of change. The financial system, once taken for granted, was seen in a new light, as the trust of millions was shattered. The aftermath of the scam saw the Indian government tightening its grip on financial regulations, implementing stricter laws and measures to prevent the recurrence of such large-scale frauds. The focus turned towards transparency, accountability, and a more stringent regulatory framework. Moreover, the scam led to a significant shake-up in the legal system. It was a wake-up call that highlighted the inefficiencies and loopholes existing within the judiciary. The justice system was compelled to introspect and reform, to ensure that those who dare to challenge the law and exploit the system are met with swift and severe consequences. But perhaps the most significant impact was on the psyche of the Indian people. The scam served as a rude awakening to the dangers of unchecked ambition and devastating greed. It highlighted the urgent need for vigilance, for questioning, and for refusing to turn a blind eye to corruption. The Telgi scam also had a transformative effect on the media landscape in India. It brought the role of investigative journalism to the forefront, underscoring its importance in holding power to account and exposing the truth. The coverage of the scam was relentless, capturing every twist and turn, ensuring that the public remained informed and engaged. This set a precedent for future investigative reporting in the country. However, the legacy of the Telgi scam isn't confined to the changes it brought about. It is also remembered for the audacity of the crime. the sheer scale of the operation, and the brazenness of the man behind it all. It served as a stark reminder of the lengths some individuals can go to satisfy their greed, and the devastating effects their actions can have on an entire nation. Abdul Karim Telgi's name will forever be associated with one of the biggest financial scams in India's history, a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition and devastating greed. This is the legacy of the scam, a memory etched in the collective consciousness of a nation, a reminder of the past, and a guide for the future.
सुना है तूने पैसा कमाया नहीं बनाया है तेरे इसी चमत्कार को नमस्कार करने आया था tous les mêmes et y en a marre tous les mêmes et y en a